السلام عليكم، أهلا وسهلا. في هذا الفيديو سنتكلم عن جمع المؤنث. Okay. In the last chapter, في الدرس الثاني, we talked about الجمع, and we talked about plurals. And we talked about all different types of plurals. We talked about them, ضمائر, the pronouns. We did it through فعل in the verb, and then we did it with asma, the types of nouns that we have. And within that, when we talked about plurals within nouns, we covered جمع المذكر السالم, which were human, masculine plurals or sound plurals. And we considered جمع التكسير, and تكسير were broken plurals, in which we change the order of the letter, we add or subtract letters. And then today we are going to do جمع المؤنث. المؤنث is the feminine. So we have the masculine, the feminine, and broken. Okay. So before we jump into that, let's just do a short review. We said that جمع المذكر was only for humans. It is, of course, masculine, and it's only for humans. And we said that these are words like nisba adjectives. These are words that refer to humans that start with mim, right? Like muwaddaf, right? Or mashghul. And we also said that words that end in alif nun can take this pattern. And we said that the rule for jam' al-mudhakkar is you take the word that is singular and you simply add waw nun. Or you can add ya nun, but we haven't covered ya nun yet. We're only covering the grammatical structures that take waw nun. So that was al-mudhakkar. At-taksir are broken plurals. And they contain words that are human and non-human. Non-human, remember we said جمع غير عاقل. غير عاقل is non-human, things that don't have a mind, things that are inanimate objects, tables and chairs and pencils and houses and things like that. Okay? And broken plurals are the ones that really you have to memorize. They come in different patterns of words, and they can be things that are both masculine words or feminine words. So really, anything can fall into this pattern. It's just a matter of you memorizing and knowing that, okay, these are the words that fit this pattern. Okay. And of course, we don't have, it's not like this rule where you simply add one thing and that's it. Okay, so taksir are the ones you have to memorize. Jama' al-mu'annath are feminine. And these types of words are for human and for non-human. Okay. So it includes words that are human related. So if I said, for instance, طالبة is a female student. Ustadha is a female teacher, right? So it can include words like that. And it can also include non-human words. Okay, non-humans word like jami'a, university, sayyara, right? Cars. And what is indicative of the feminine in all of those is that they end in ta marbuta. Okay. So it includes things that are human, includes things that are non-human, but of course it's only for the feminine. And the rule is very simple. Any word that fits this pattern, okay, because there are some words that end in ta marbuta, but they fit in taksir. Any word that fits this pattern, if it ends in a ta marbuta, all you do to make it plural is you change the ta marbuta, you take it off, and you add alif ta to the end of that word. Okay? So for instance, if I have the word sayyara for car, all we would do is we would drop this and add alif ta. And when we do that, we would get sayyarat. Okay, just like that. And then we would do the same thing if it was a feminine word that's human. So if I have a word, I'll add it here. طالبة. Change this, add alif ta. So now we have طالبات. So the rule for jama' al-mu'annath is actually very simple. You have a ta marbuta, you change it to alif ta. That's it. What is more tricky is just memorizing which words fit this pattern, which words that are feminine fit this pattern, and which words that are feminine fit taksir. Because taksir is a hodgepodge. It can be any word, right? It's just a matter of you memorizing which ones they are. So let's look. نحن الآن في الدرس الثالث في صفحة 50 page 50. So go ahead. Nope. Page 49, page 49. So you're going to go ahead and open up to page 49. And let's look at the chart that they have listed there for us. A little bit bigger. So here is a list of words. Okay. And all of these words that are here are examples of jama' al-mu'annath, they're feminine. And these are all examples of غير عاقل, non-human words. Okay. جامعة, جامعات. سيارة, سيارات. Okay. عربية, عربيات. Okay. Which عربية, we're actually not going to be using that because that's really a dialect word for cars. ولاية, states. ولايات. So all of these ones are plural. So wilayat, this one, I don't believe we've done this word before. State. Sa'a, sa'a can mean hour. We did this in 130. It can mean clock or watch. So clocks or watches or hours. Sa'at. Okay. Maybe I should do this in yellow so you see that I'm circling alif top. Okay. جنسية. What's جنسية? ما معنى جنسية? nationality. جنسيات. لغة. لغة مثلا لغة العربية. لغة language. لغات. كلمة يعني word. كلمات. صفحة. When I say نحن الآن, we are صفحة. في صفحة page. Page. صفحة, صفحات. And one thing to note here, in صفحة, there's a sukun on the fa, but when it becomes plural, it ends up taking a fatha. صفحات. Okay? Just one of those things. طاولة. هذه طاولة. طاولات. Tables. بناية. Building. بناية. بنايات. ترجمة, that was a new word. ترجمة. الترجمة من اللغة العربية إلى اللغة الإنجليزية. ترجمة من اللغة الفرنسية إلى اللغة الإنجليزية. ما معنى الترجمة? Translation. ترجمات. Translations. مكتبة. مكتبات. Now, I am going to put a note here. مكتبة is a library. Okay? It can also mean, I'll add here, it can also mean bookstore. مكتبة, مكتبات. But if you look at the word maktab, maktab means office. It can also mean desk. And its plural is makatib. Offices or desks. And it's jama' taksir, it's a broken plural. So that's a different word. Okay, so in case you have a dialect that you speak, that's a good ملاحظة, a good thing to know. مكتبة, مكتبات. Sana, year. Sana, sanawat. You're going to star this one. Because sana is a special word in which we added a letter. What letter did we add? Sana as a waw. Okay? Just so that in pronunciation it sounds a little bit better. So sana, sanawat, years. So these are all examples of non-human ones. So let's look at if you flip the page, we have examples of, these are human examples, jama' al-mu'annath, that happen to be humans. Okay? Bint, banat. So girl, girls. Notice here that we had, notice here, okay, that we had a kasra and it changed to a fatha. Banat. Bint, banat. Ukht, akhawat. This one you're going to star because the fatha, that dhamma here becomes a fatha. And then we also add this letter waw. Okay. أخت, أخوات, sisters. طالبة, طالبات, طالبة, طالبات, students. أستاذة, أستاذات, أستاذة, أستاذات. Okay, female professors. سيدة. سيدة is like saying Mrs. or ladies. سيدة, سيدات. Okay, سيدة, سيدات. خالة, خالات. خالة, خالات. So remember here we have, right here we're taking off the stop marbuta. So now you have like this. When we want to add a lam, when you write lam with an alif, it looks like this, or it can look like this. So that's why you have the alif inside of it, and it's looking like that. Jara, neighbor. Jarat, neighbors. Then we have, these are all nouns. Here's adjectives, because remember, nouns and adjectives can take this form. Because in Arabic, when we talk about al-ism, which are nouns, right, really, they're nouns and adjectives, because adjectives function the same way nouns do in Arabic. Okay? Filistiniya, remember this is an example of a nisba adjective. Filistiniya, Palestinian, Filistiniyat. Okay? Same thing, if we said Amrikiya, Amrikiyat, Lubnaniya, Lubnaniyat, Sudaniya, Sudaniyat, Maghribiya, Maghribiyat. So it's the same thing, any nisba adjective that you have. Mutarjima, Mutarjima, ما معنى المترجمة? We did in the last slide tarjama, which is translation. So mutarjima sounds similar because it has the word tarjum in it. So a translator. So we change this. Mutarjimat. Mutakhassisa, another adjective. Mutakhassisa, specialist or specializing in. Mutakhassisat. Okay. Mashghula, busy. Mashghulat. Latifa. Latifat. Latifa meaning nice or pleasant. So remember, adjectives, when you're making them plural, why are we making adjectives plural? Because when you have a noun and an adjective, if you have an adjective and you're describing humans and they're a group of humans, then your adjective also has to be plural. It has to match. Okay? Saghira, saghirat. So small, and then small, plural. So what does that mean? Let's look at an example. If I have, if I say طالبة, طالبة أمريكية, طالبة أمريكية, which is a female student. That is American. So an American female student. An American student that happens to be female. Okay. So if I was to make this plural, if I want to say American students, okay, or American female students, then what do? We take this word طالبة becomes طالبات. But the adjective also has to become plural, because remember, when we're talking about nouns and adjectives, a sifa has to follow the noun. So it has to follow it in gender, it has to follow it in number, right? It has to follow it in definiteness or indefiniteness. So our adjective here is going to take the same pattern. أمريكية, أمريكيات. Okay. So I'm going to give you one and then you write it. Bint صغيرة, small girl. Go ahead, pause and come back. Okay. So we have بنات صغيرات. Okay. So you're making both of them plural. So if they're human, the human adjectives that we have, remember, noun adjective phrases that are matching, right? And they're human, they have to be matching completely. So these are both examples of jama' al-mu'annath, that are examples of things that are non-human and things that are human. Let's go back and let's look at the non-human ones. When you have a noun adjective phrase, what do we do for matching when they're non-human? Okay. So if I say, مثلا, سيارة جديدة. a new car. Go ahead, make it plural. Pause and make it plural. Okay, سيارة becomes سيارات. What did we say في الدرس الثاني in chapter 2 and lesson 2? What did we say about جمع غير عاقل, non-human plurals? What happens when you have a non-human plural? It's a noun. What do you do to the adjective? The adjective is always what? It's always mu'annath. It's always feminine. So non-human plurals, their adjectives will always be feminine, which is why we did examples of bayt jadid became buyut jadida, which ended in ta marbuta. So here, the adjective already has ta marbuta, so we don't have to change it. We actually just keep it the same. Sayyarat jadida. Keep it the same. Okay? So anytime you have a non-human plural, okay, non-human plural, the adjective will always be feminine singular, meaning it'll usually end in a ta marbuta. Okay? If you have a human plural, it will match completely. Okay, so it has to be plural. Both the noun and the adjective have to be plural. Okay, let's look at some other examples. These are examples of jama' at-taksir. Why are they mentioned here? They're mentioned here because notice these are all words that are mu'annath. They're feminine, but they do not follow the pattern of jama' al-mu'annath. Okay? And that's because I told you that jama' at-taksir has examples of words that are both masculine and feminine, but they're broken. Okay, so you just got to memorize these. Okay, usra. Try to notice any patterns. Listen to it and try to notice any patterns. Usra, usar. Usra, usar. Families. Nuclear families. Ghurfa, ghuraf. Rooms. Jumla, jumal. Jumal are sentences, so jumla is sentence. Oops. Sentences. What do you notice? In all of these, we start with a dhamma, but when we make it plural, we keep the dhamma, but we add a fatha. Okay, so they rhyme. Usar, ghuraf, jumal. First letter has dhamma, second letter has fatha, so they all rhyme. Okay, that's just a pattern that should help you with remembering what the sounds are like, so that once you continue on in your studies, it'll be easier to guess what the plural is for something. Because it'll sound right. Okay. Umma, umam. What is umam? ما معنى umam? Remember there are الأمم المتحدة. ما معنى الأمم المتحدة? The United Nations. متحدة means united. So الأمم is nations. So what is umma? Nations, is singular. قطة should actually be a kasra. Your book has a dhamma. Okay. قطة, cat. قطط, same thing, kasra. Cats. قطة, قطط. قصة, قصة, story. قصص, same pattern. قطط, قصص, they both rhyme. Okay, so stories. So these are examples here of words that are feminine, but they don't fit this pattern. Okay, they don't fit this pattern. So how would we say beautiful cats? Go ahead, pause and come back. Okay, so we have an adjective and a noun. Noun always comes first, so we'll put the noun first. We're going to use this word. قطط. Okay. And قطط is non-human. It's not human. Okay, it's an animal. It's not human. So when we describe it with beautiful, when we describe it with the word beautiful, jameel, we have to add ta marbuta. قطط جميلة. Okay? Okay, if we flip the page, we have another set of words, and these are all examples of words that are taksir. And really, your book should have included this in the last lesson because these are all masculine words. Every example of these are all mudhakkar. They're all masculine words that happen to be broken. Okay? So let's just go through them. Shari'. Shari' is street. Shawari'. Shari'. Shawari'. Notice here, we added a wow. Shari', and we took off this alif here. Shari', shawari'. Shubbak. Shubbak is a window. Shababik. Shababik, windows. Ustad, teacher, professor. Asatida. Notice what happened in the plural. It got an alif and it got a ta maqutad. This example and the example below, there are a few words that are like this, in which it's a masculine word. And when you make it plural, the word for some reason has a ta maqutad. It doesn't mean it's a feminine word. It just happens to be a word that has ta maqutad and is not feminine. Okay? Why is it like that? La. It's just like that. Okay, so I'm going to just put here. So you have ustad becomes asatida. So that's professor and professors or teacher. And it's masculine. But if you have the feminine, ustada, because it follows jama' mu'annath, change the alif, change the ta marbuta to alif ta. Ustadat. Okay? Ustada, ustadat versus ustad, asatida. So this is the same thing, but feminine. Okay? Doctor, what does doctor sound like? Tabib, it's a doctor. Dakatira, so it takes the same thing. Dakatira. So dakatira is plural for doctors. And it's a masculine word. And remember, whenever you have a plural that is masculine, it doesn't just refer to men. It can be mixed gendered. Okay? So it can refer to just male doctors, or it can refer to men and women. Okay, male and female doctors. And so the plural for the feminine will be the same thing. Doctora, doctorat. Similar to ustada, ustadat. So if you're just saying female doctors. Okay, daftar. Daftar is notebook. Dafatir. Notice it follows the same pattern as these two. It just doesn't take it on mabuba. Dafatir. Notebooks. Notebooks. So these are now all examples of your feminine plural. I'm losing my words. Jama' al-mu'annath that we've gone through. And then the last two that we did, these are both examples of taksir. So now you should have a chart of all of them. And I will also post that as well. So you'll have a running chart that has all of those words. So that's quite a bit that you have to practice. What I would suggest is looking at flashcards on Quizlet, and that'll help you practice with them. Okay, there is one thing that I forgot to mention that I do want to mention here is, and it's in your book actually as well. There is one word that is a feminine word. However, its plural form doesn't fit any of these patterns. Okay, and that word is imra'a. And imra'a means woman. You hear the sirens? Okay, imra'a is woman. Its plural is not imra'at. That's not a word. So imra'a is a word whose plural, whose jama' doesn't fit any of these. Its plural is actually nisa. Okay, meaning women. So this is one that you just need to memorize. It just happens to be a word that doesn't fit any pattern. Okay, because its plural is not broken, it's just a completely different word. Okay, so what I wanted to do is do a little bit of practice and review. And this is from a handout that you may see posted. And in that handout it said, feminine plural, make the following words plural. So we have usually كلمتين بين قوسين. We have two words here in the parentheses. We want to make them plural. These right here are in مفرد, singular. We want to make them plural. Okay. المثال هم بين قوسين يوجد كلمتين طالبة أمريكية. طالبة أمريكية يعني American student. That's exactly the same example we did a few slides ago. And what did they do to make it plural? They changed the تاء مربوطة here to ألف تاء. Notice this is a human plural. طالبة, we're talking about student, so it's human. So they're both matching, they're both plural. So let's look at the first one together. عندي, I have. This. عندي, I have, and we have سيارة جديدة. This is the same exact example that we just did. So this should be easy. We have سيارات. Whoops. Okay. سيارات. سيارات. Then you look at that and you say, is it human or is it non-human? Good. It's non-human. So if it's non-human, the adjective, الصفة, has to be مؤنث. It has to be feminine. It already is because it has تاء مربوطة, so we leave it the same. سيارات جديدة. Okay. هل asking a question. البنت صديقة. Girl, friend. We want to say, are the girls friends? Okay, are the girls friends? So you're going to pause and come back. Okay, البنت. Because it has alif lam, we're just going to keep that there. And what's the plural? بنات. بنت, بنات. If it has alif lam, just keep it there. هل البنات. Then we have the word صديقة. Bint are human or non-human? They're human. Very good. So that means the adjective is also going to be plural. So we change the alif ta, change the ta مربوطة to alif ta. صديقات. Third one, there's a typo. This should say الكلمة. Word, new. So the new word. أعرف, I know. So instead of saying I know the new word, we want to say I know the new words, like vocab words. So go ahead, pause and come back. Okay, أعرف الكلمة. Change the تاء مربوطة to ألف تاء. الكلمات. الكلمات, are they human or non-human? Good, they're non-human, so we're going to keep الجديدة the same. الكلمات الجديدة, the new words. Okay, we're going to work on these and then pause and unpause. ليلى ونانسي وسارة. ليلى ونانسي وسارة. So we're talking about three women. We have امرأة مشغولة. What did we just say about امرأة? امرأة نساء. So it's one of those words that you just have to memorize. Okay, ليلى ونانسي وسارة. نساء, women. What kind of women? مشغولة. We want to say busy women. نساء. Is it human or non-human? Good, it's human. So that means we have to make مشغولة plural. So what do? We just take the تاء مربوطة. We add ألف تاء. مشغولات. Okay. هل أنتن. ما معنى أنتن? أنتن is when I'm talking to you all, but you all are women. So I'm talking specifically about women. هل أنتن. We have the word أخت, sisters. We want to make it plural. And they answer لا نحن. And we want to say neighbors. أخت. That was in that chart. So those charts that we went over, you need to memorize them. They're in your book. They're in Quizlet. They're on this video. هل أنتن أخوات. Are you guys sisters? لا نحن. We're neighbors. It has a تاء مربوطة. What do? Some of you are going to think, some of you probably wrote جيران. What is جيران the plural of? It's the plural of jar. This is also neighbor and neighbors. Okay, but this is a masculine word because it doesn't have تاء مربوطة. This right here is a feminine word. So we're going to add تاء مربوطة to the end. جارات. Okay, جيران would only be for the masculine. في مدينة نيويورك. So in New York City. في مدينة نيويورك مكتبة كثيرة. كثيرة means a lot. So we want to say there's a lot of libraries or a lot of bookstores. Maktaba. Maktaba. That was in your chart. Past ta marbuta. What did we add to it? Oops. Maktabat. Maktabat. Are they human or non-human? Good, they're non-human, so it just takes a ta marbuta. This already has one, so we keep it. Kathira. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. في بيت أحمد we have غرفة كثيرة. We want to say a lot of rooms, many rooms. So pause and come back. Okay, غرفة. It does end in ta marbuta, but it doesn't fit the feminine pattern with alif ta. Remember that we covered some words that end in ta marbuta, but they don't take alif ta for the plural. There are several of those words. You only have to memorize these 6 of them. Okay? So if you see any of those 6 words, you know that, okay, this is jama' taksir. It's not going to follow the same pattern. So we have غرفة right here. غرف. Let's go back here. في بيت أحمد, in the house of Ahmad. So in Ahmad's house. غرف. Rooms, are they human or non-human? They're non-human. So we're going to say كثيرة because it's non-human. It has to be feminine. This already has a ta marbuta, so we keep it there.